So I tried to quit smoking many times, and it was pitiful, dude. Like, I couldn't go 2 days. I couldn't even go an afternoon most of the time. So in this video about quitting smoking, I'm gonna tell you how I personally did it. So when I was trying to quit smoking and vaping, I tried just about everything. Like, I tried the nicotine gum several times, and I just found that it didn't really do anything. It made me feel sick. It would make me get like air bubbles stuck in my chest. I'd be burping all day and just feeling like crap. And you know, I guess it kind of worked because I could chew the gum and then not want to smoke cigarettes or vape. But then the second you stop buying and chewing the gum, you still have that you still have the addiction. Like, you still want to go and buy cigarettes or buy a vape, or you just need your nicotine fix. Because you're not really weaning off of nicotine. You're just like ingesting it in a cleaner way. And I try things like vaping to get away from smoking, but then I just end up being violently addicted to the vape. And I had days where I'd get so pissed where I'd like take this fucking stupid vape and I'd just chuck it out the window. And then the next day I'd just be buying another vape. So I'm gonna tell you guys, you know, exactly how I managed to quit vaping and smoking. And it's not going to apply to everybody, unfortunately, but my guess is there's probably people out there in the exact same situation that I was in that are just like me, and this will help exactly those people. So I would say that I, you know, successfully quit nicotine twice. And I know that's a weird thing to say because technically if you quit, then you shouldn't do it anymore. And then if you do it again, then you didn't really quit. But I'd say I successfully quit twice because the first time I quit for a year and a half. And then I hit a vape at a party, and then the addiction started just slowly coming back until it was fully back in my life. And then obviously the second time I quit, so far, it has been the last time. So the first time I quit smoking, and I don't know how valuable this is going to be to some people, but I'm going to tell it anyways because it might be. So I had been smoking, drinking, doing drugs, pretty much everything consistently for years leading up until the first time that I stopped. And you know, I had wanted to stop for a while during this time period, but unfortunately, when you're hanging out with people who are doing all of that stuff, it's hard to not do all of that stuff. And even if I wanted to say at least stop smoking, which would have been, you know, probably the least damaging of everything that I was doing, I couldn't do that because the second that I drank and I got drunk, and everybody drinks all the time with everything that they do, I would just want a cigarette right away. And especially because everybody around me was hitting a vape or smoking, the second that I drank, it was just like, past that, right? So during this time, I was pretty depressed. I hated my life. I hated my job. I hated me. And, you know, it started to kind of like get to a boiling point where I was like pissed off with everything. And eventually I had a night, May 9th, 2020, I specifically remember, where, you know, we got really fucked up. I did a whole bunch of stupid shit. And then the next morning when I woke up, it was almost like traumatizing thinking about the day prior. I didn't like the way that feeling felt so much that I didn't ever want to feel it again. So I literally stopped everything cold turkey after that. Like, that was literally, you know, rock bottom, so to speak, for me. And for some of you, I hate to say it, and this isn't necessarily motivating, but I know people pretty well, and some of you probably will not change until you have that rock bottom moment. That day completely changed the trajectory of my life. From that moment on, I was sober for basically just over 2 years straight, quit my job I hated, got into real estate, became a realtor, made more money than I ever thought was imaginable for my life that first year in real estate. And you know, I was just extremely positive. I was executing, and my energy was high, my mood was great, and everything was amazing. Now, for some of you, it may be as simple as just stopping drinking. Like, just stop drinking. Because I know personally a lot of people in my life that don't drink anymore just because every time they drink, you know, they want a little bit of like something like that, right? And they know if they drink, they'll instantly be in that weakened state of mind, and it's just way too risky. So removing that one vice will definitely help you to remove all of the other vices, because there's nothing else that makes you make terrible decisions the way that alcohol does. So after things went really well that first year in real estate, it's just the typical, you know, hard times create strong men create good times, you know, create weak men create hard times. Well, I had experienced a lot of good times, and I was slowly turning into a weak man. And then obviously this is when I went to a party, I hit the vape at the party, stupidly hit the vape at a party. And then, you know, the addiction started slowly coming back into my life from that point forward. So now during this second time that I was addicted to nicotine, I was hiding it from my girlfriend at this point because she didn't like the first time, and she absolutely hated it. She's always hated it. She's never even tried it. So I would be at work all day smoking vaping, and then when I got home at night, I would either, not smoke from 5 till 9 p.m. when I went to bed, or I would actually like sneak away into the bathroom and hit my vape. And like I said, during this time, I got so mad with myself a couple times that I like actually took my vape and like threw it out the fucking car window, or I'd throw it in the garbage, or I would just like get so mad. I'd be like, why am I doing this? And I just throw it. So eventually what I did is I knew I had to make it more inconvenient for me to smoke or vape. It was just too easy, and I had to make it very inconvenient to actually perform that habit. So what I did was I knew if I told my girlfriend what I was up to, it would be extremely difficult to keep doing it, because then every time I come home, she'd be looking for it on me, smelling, see if I had smoked, or, she'd be just paying attention to more of what I was doing. And essentially, I then would have to choose between arguing every night or just not doing it at all. So I sat her down and I was like, listen, you're going to be mad. I've been vaping, I've been smoking, I've been hiding it from you, and I keep the vape over here. This is when I do it like that. Make sure I don't do it anymore. And I'm telling you because I can't stop, and I now need help stopping. And obviously she was pissed, but at the end of the day, I'm telling her because I'm powerless to it. I need help stopping, and I can't do it myself, and I don't want to be doing it. And after that day, I haven't hit a vape or smoked since. So if you're powerless to this addiction, I would recommend that you just stop drinking, because that's going to make it a lot easier to not give in to those vices. If you think that would help, that would be the first place to start, in my opinion. And like I said, some of you, it's just the sad truth. I know people, I know how they think, and a lot of times they just need a really bad wake-up call. Some of you may not stop, no matter what you read, no matter what somebody says to you, no matter what evidence you have, until you hit rock bottom. And we don't know when that's going to be or how it's going to look. But obviously, I would advise that you stop before you get there. Now, some of you may be hiding this from a spouse or your parents, an uncle, grandparents, whatever it is. And the easiest way to make this extremely inconvenient, because obviously you're hiding it for a reason, is just go up to that person and tell them what you're doing. Likely it'll become so inconvenient to do it that you just won't even want to do it anymore. Another thing with this is like smoking is a very habitual routine thing. We like to smoke while we drive. We like to have a smoke with our coffee, smoke with whatever, right? And habits are tied to routine and triggers. So if you can break up or change your routine in a massive way, there's going to be a much better chance that you actually stop performing the habits that you were doing during that routine. Drive a different way home. Drive a different way to work. Completely move houses if you have to. Go rent a different house in a different city or whatever. Just completely get out of your routine. And all of this stuff that I'm saying to you right now in regards to triggers and habits is all outlined in the book Atomic Habits by James Clear. I know this is like one of the most well-renowned books or whatever. Maybe you haven't heard it, maybe you have, but either way, use this as a reminder to read it again if you've already read it. If you haven't, go read it. And just to show you that this isn't hogwash, changing your surroundings and your routine works. And the reason why is during the Vietnam War, 34% of soldiers were regularly using heroin. They thought they were going to have a massive opioid epidemic once all these soldiers returned to the States. However, only 1% of those soldiers got re-addicted upon their return to the States. And the reason why is because their surroundings completely changed. Their routine changed. All of the triggers that they were experiencing over in Vietnam did not exist back home. They didn't have all these emotional triggers, all these routine things that they were doing that would make them want to perform their habit that was associated with the routine. So I'm not an expert or a doctor. I'm just telling you guys what worked for me and maybe what has worked for other people. And if you're like me and you're in this situation, this is how I solved the problem. And I recommend that you read Atomic Habits by James Clear, because that's going to give you a way better understanding of why you do the things that you do. So if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe, like the video, and if you did like this video, you'll like the one that I did on why people smoke cigarettes. Appreciate you guys. Peace out.